par for the course, I'd say. So,
I mean, yeah.
story checks out.
Being an idiot is like it's like a prize to take home sometimes, dude.
Dude, if you got trophies for being a idiot, I would have more of those than you. A lot.
What would an idiot trophy look like?
Just a picture of me.
I'm just picturing you as a trophy, like literally like in a half running position, speed walking. Oh, like that. Okay. Like that's perfect.
So, have you noticed that?
Oh man, where are we going with this?
So when clutch kickers went away,
Okay.
did you notice how many people went, "Oh, well, I guess I'm done drifting."
Forever.
The thing. Why?
I have no clue. And I saw so many people, "Oh, rats, I guess I'm done drifting. No more clutch kickers."
Now, were a lot of them local? Like, is it a ease of location or like
There definitely were like a good amount of Florida people, because I do know some people that drove clutch kickers like that from the beginning said, "I'm only doing this because it's here."
Yeah.
I go, "That's cool. That makes sense."
That kind of makes sense. I'm not against that. Like, because they'd probably just go drive other stuff.
Yes, and all those people, they still every month they go to OSW, they
Right.
go to a Chris Jackson event,
Yep.
they'll go drive something else, they'll go to the firm, they'll go to OKC, whatever.
I understand that too, because like it's not like it's like a budgeting thing, and it's a time thing,
Right.
and it's a time to prep your car and do things. Like I feel like everybody, like I think if everybody drove 6 events a year, that's a really good number.
Yeah.
Like 6 is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Which how many do the clutch kickers have?
Last season was 4. It was
4.
supposed to be 5.
Okay.
But it was just so many people, like not even people close, that are just like, and even people that so much as built or bought a specific car for clutch kickers.
Selling them.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
right.
Instead of pivoting to whatever the next closest is,
Yeah.
they're trying to work something, right?
And it makes
Yeah.
no sense because I could be wrong on my dates here, but iTrack up in like Lanier,
Yep.
they do comps, and I think they were doing competitions while clutch kickers was still a thing. There were people within the area that for them driving to clutch kickers, it's the same distance to go to Lanier. It's still competitive. It's still a decent payout. I think they were paying $5,000 to win,
Still.
which is great.
Yep.
But then there was iTrack at Lanier. There was CMD, the guy Joe, doing events like South
Heard of that
Carolina,
one.
North Carolina, Georgia. I think he works
Yep.
with iTrack too.
Well, and I think a lot of the people that were coming to clutch kickers were coming through that area or already were there.
Yeah, and I know the move to Freedom Factory killed it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like Troy Manners, he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm not going." He goes, "That's an additional 8 to 9 hours of my drive."
Oh, both way, each way.
Yeah, and I get it, but also for Troy, there's E-Town Gambler. There's the Erie track that FD ran at. They're
Yep,
doing a series now.
Apparently that
And-
drifting up there is getting huge too.
Yeah, it's just
He's not too far from Canada, too. Like, somewhat.
right. And like I get Canada, like the crossing the border or whatever. Like, but
Yeah, that's
We're
a whole,
used to
that's
that,
a whole
but
other
that's a
element,
whole
too,
thing for
right?
sure, yeah.
big time.
but just so many people, clutch kickers ends. I'm done. And like I was a part of clutch kickers. I don't want to say I was a big part. They had it pretty set up. I just kind of went in there and did what I did. But like we weren't doing anything.
I had to get a
like-
little closer. I was like really far from my mic and I kept bumping my values up, trying to figure it out.
We weren't doing anything like that crazy or that special. Like it was, I mean, yeah, there were some things we'd make it a little easier or be like a little less cutthroat on things.
Yep.
But honestly, most of the other comps I go to spectate, to drive, whatever, it's the same. And
Yeah.
and clutch kicker stops and all these people, "Oh, I'm done."
I
I'm over."
got 2 little questions, right? The cars and like the stuff that people are selling. Like, have you seen? Obviously, you're never going to get your money back, right? But like, are they selling for decent money where like they are getting a good chunk back to go do something else or to just recoup that money?
I think it depends on what your idea of decent money is.
Yeah.
Right.
But then-
So like,
To follow with that, are the people buying those now going to be looking to compete too, which is going to bring in potentially a new group of drivers, right? Or are they just like, "Oh, drifting's cool. I'm going to buy this car that's already proven to be sorted,
yeah,
to
that's
then
a
go
big
have
thing.
fun."
Yeah, fair
You'd
enough.
think that'd be a bigger
You know?
thing than what it is, though. I think a lot of
That's
people
what I mean, like,
don't
'cause-
do that, and they're like, I could build my own car
Yeah.
cheaper.
So like,
That's a
granted,
whole
my
nother
area
conversation.
isn't good for it, but like resale of a drift car in New England is not good.
Right.
Right.
Like down here, I'm wondering, like, is it a different market to where like it makes more sense to sell it and get out of it than it is to just stay in it because you already have it.
But
and you're not
but
gonna
why are you selling it? There's many other opportunities out there.
Yeah.
That's the conversation I think with Pat's
Right.
getting
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
It's like, why did you build this car, put this effort into it, plan a 4-event thing, and is it just like, to me, the clutch kickers thing was strictly how it was marketed. It was a big cash payout with pretty big names. So like someone who's coming up or whatever got to drive with dudes that ripped and had serious cars. And it was built obviously at Emerald Coast, which is like a smaller track
So that's what I was gonna say.
equalizer, right?
I understand a person going, oh, well, they stopped going to Emerald Coast, and that was my only way of being competitive. But a lot of these people selling these cars, they're not selling stock 350Zs.
That's what,
Right.
yeah, right.
No,
They're selling
exactly.
500 horsepower cars.
That's what I mean. Like
Exactly.
they're not necessarily big money, but they're decent money, cars, trailers, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's a substantial investment.
Yeah, an effort for sure.
Exactly. So I'm like, are they getting enough back to make sense of selling it versus sitting on it? Or are they just that disinterested in motorsports now to where like they don't even want to pivot that chassis to something else?
But that's what he's saying. It's like, why did the
Right.
interest drop
Mhm.
because of that? So like I said, I was like, big names, big payouts, and then also this like feeling of a local championship,
Yep.
like a local 4-round series. So you're
Right.
not just a part of one thing, right?
Is it just simply a marketing problem at that point of like
Yeah.
other places not being known enough to draw them in there?
Half
Yeah.
of what the things you said, I didn't really know about, right? And I don't
That's
know
where
if
I'm
it's
at, right?
because
Like, I'd kind of heard of the CMD,
Yeah.
but the other
Yeah.
one, like I'd never heard of it.
yeah.
And I don't mean
And
that in any
Eggert
sort
has
of like
one too,
negative,
right? What's
bad
the
way.
Eggert stuff?
Like US Drift?
Yeah, he still has that. That's
Yeah.
big. Those events are decent.
I don't
but
think
again,
he's doing like big payout.
no, but like the events are cool, different tracks
For sure,
and
for
whatnot.
sure.
But like that's what I'm getting at is like, is it like this golden little thing that happened during COVID, right?
Right.
I hate using that as an excuse, but like where everybody had a little bit more time and a
Yeah.
little bit more liquid income, some people, depending on what you're involved in, and they were able to achieve things easier.
Yeah.
And now, like, ooh, back to reality. Maybe my dad is whatever helping me fund this or something, or my mom or family, whatever. And like now they're back to work full time and they don't really have time. And I don't really have the drive or understanding on how to do it all. And maybe I got into sim drifting and like whatever. You know, like maybe there's just like that. There's no like the people who don't have the tenacity
Right.
like aren't doing it. Like I can't even imagine like having a plan for a year that didn't involve like 4 or 6 event thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's always just like how it's been for me ever. But like maybe those people when they were at their 3rd or 4th round of clutch kickers before it ended, like they were like, man, this is a lot already.
Yeah. And like you were saying with like local people. Like, yeah, I get it. But also like there are people coming from Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, wherever to come to clutch kickers. Then you have something like the E-Town Gambler, where there's the unlimited class, which is clutch kicker rules.
Yeah.
It's less than
Right.
clutch kicker rules.
It is unlimited.
Arguably
Yeah.
on a cooler track.
Right.
Well,
It's
two tracks.
2. Yeah.
so
2 different
when
ones.
they run road course at E-Town, that's like clutch kickers bigger.
Yeah, Emerald Coast clutch kickers. But they're-
Emerald
yeah,
Coast
yeah.
clutch kickers. And oddly enough, on the road course, it's not. I hated so much. Everyone's Emerald Coast is an equalizer, bro. Guess who won all the events?
Yeah.
Taylor Hull in his FD car, Chelsea in Duarte's E46. That's
I
gnarly.
did win that.
Nate Hamilton in his 600 horsepower car. Like, there's all
No,
these.
because one time a dude in a 350Z that was like simple made it to like Final Four, and they lived and died off that.
Yeah, and I get it, but like,
I did
Did
hear
do it.
that. They did do it though.
You know?
yeah, but look at the
Stars align.
statistics. It's like, yeah, dude, these dudes that shred and have big boy cars are still gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
But gambler, okay, go to unlimited class. If you got this big boy car, go to unlimited class.
Yep.
But then I get people are like, they're not gonna say it. They're not gonna be like, yeah, dude, yeah, right. I'm gonna get smoked. Like they'll turn it into a money thing, which yes, it is money.
I know. It
'Cause
always comes back to like that.
because you're buying these crazy tires. These
Yep.
super expensive.
Or
No
not-
one gets a deal
Not
tires.
even a crazy tire. Just tire cost in general is through the roof compared to 5 years ago.
Well, yeah. And
Yeah.
on,
Yeah. Double.
Right.
Everything's
Yeah.
double, and your car consumes double.
Yep. Like even
Yeah.
a 235 is $100.
Yep.
more than that.
Right.
Like, but the unlimited cars on road course, 2 laps.
Yep.
Like Brian Hobb, GT Radials, 2 laps.
On my car, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I could go.
22 laps.
I only got 10. But these people scared of unlimited, and that's fine. Even if you're not scared, even if you're straight up like, that can't, there's no way I can afford
Well,
it.
yeah, like, okay, so look at me. Like, I'm like unlimited. I'm not driving unlimited. I have no want to drive unlimited.
Right.
Because I already do that or did that.
Right.
And I'm like, why?
Well, hey, dude, great news. They
Yeah.
have a 235 class.
And it's amazing.
And it is the most fun I have had competing.
It's better to watch too.
The whole thing is better.
I'm going to throw it out there. It's because the cars are way more balanced on that tire.
Dude, and they still attack,
Hmm?
but it's calculated attack. It's
Right, but
not
it-
just on and off, just
Yep.
driving into the digoing the whole time.
I think since the tire tech
Like-
has moved up so much, it makes like that 235 work balanced. Like the
Right.
chassis becomes
Yeah.
balanced on the smaller tire versus like the people throwing the big tire on and then everything's out of whack and they're trying to fight against that.
Well, that and like, dude, everyone's like, people that were running the unlimited class. I'm like, why? I mean, I'm happy that there's 2 classes, and I'm happy that there's enough to fill both of them. That's great. That's
Yeah.
amazing for drifting. On my end, I'm like, but why? Like, even though you built this badass, whatever, 600, 700 horsepower car, blah blah blah. Like, they're like, I'm not driving the 235 class. That's
Yes,
not like the
right.
best.
It's
And you're like,
their car
no,
is
dude.
above it.
It is the best.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously subjective, but like you could turn your car down and your gearbox and your diff and your axles and your engine now just lasts 5 times as long, maybe forever.
Yeah.
Like literally. And then also tire cost is less. Also, you're going to learn some things about your car that you'll never learn with a big, sticky, crazy tire on it. Like, and the speeds between the 2 cars, like stopwatches are not that different.
It wasn't
I
that
ran people on 235s in my car. Granted, I did win the event, but I did not have the fastest car
No.
Right.
by any means. Like, I was maxed out, and like, I was able to drive with some of those dudes
Yeah.
still.
Like a Riverside.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I
yeah.
had a serious tire, and I was barely drifting, but yes, it kept
But-
up with them.
Yeah. But you know what I'm getting at of like
But then,
times is not that
yeah.
so on gambler topic, 235, it's the best.
Yep.
And it kind of breaks my heart in a way that it's the most fun I've ever had competing, and I tell everyone
It's true.
that. Dude, Unlimited didn't even have 16 cars.
Yep.
For 235 class, the round that me and Chelsea drove,
Yep.
qualifying was very strange, and I hate when people do weird qualifying or like gimme qualifying kind of stuff. It rained right before qualifying, and then they had to wait, and it dried up. Dude, it was hard.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
spotty.
it was real hard.
Especially because there's like water drainage in certain spots.
I was
Yeah.
so happy to be on a 235 for that.
Right.
I was like, if I was on one of those kill mode tires right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the patchiness,
Yep.
oh my god.
So we didn't get 16 scores, but there were more than 16 drivers. They did a thing, and like I don't know, maybe they asked you or other drivers. I didn't get asked, but I didn't care. They let because I think there are only like 12 scores.
Yep.
They let the other dudes like, hey, go do qualifying runs, try to get a score.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is a 235 class, man. It's not.
But it's
we're
not even because it's a 235 class. The unlimited class should do the same thing. It's the spirit of it all.
right, but
Because
not only-
everybody involved in the 235 class is processing and thinking about things and wants to have a good time and fill the top 16 and
Yeah.
do all that. And they know that, oh, we're all just going to battle and they're going to be great battles. So, like, it doesn't matter if I have 12 dudes or 16 dudes. It's the whole process of it is like just turned to a point where it's about drifting more.
Yeah.
I think that kind of brings it back, and it's like not directly related to a cost thing, but it's like if you're running things on a program or a cost budget that is more convenient for you,
Yeah.
it allows you to have more fun with it. And it's not so stressful of like I need to do good to try to recoup some of this, right?
Correct.
So that way you lose that seriousness factor. People still care, but it becomes more about the fun and like rewarding of the driving and not so much of like I'm purely focused on winning
Yeah.
so that I can make this worthwhile or justify it in your head.
But like the thing that, like I said, it kind of breaks my heart. There were only 17, I think there were 18 total 235 cars. There weren't even enough top 16 or 16 cars for unlimited. And it's like unlimited is based off of the entry fee. That's your payout.
Right.
Oh, right.
And dude, they could win up to like 20 grand if there's 32
there's-
drivers,
yep,
or
yep,
64,
yep,
however they do it. But 235 class, there were like 18 people there. And I was like, why is no one here? Like,
Yeah.
this is one, a sick track,
Sick.
two, a sick facility in general with amazing ownership.
Yep.
that
Yeah.
will
Oh,
do
they're the best.
anything for the drivers.
Correct.
Yep.
Three, it's a sick comp. It like wasn't I don't know, maybe 250, $300 to enter, whatever it was,
Yeah.
a little
Yeah,
bit
something
pricey,
like that.
but whatever.
Yep.
Yep.
Guaranteed for 235, $4,000 payout for the winner.
Yeah, which is great.
And
Yeah.
on that sick road course, I have stock 6-liter LS in my S13.
Yep.
I ran 235 Volino 08Cs because they have like kind of a weird tire rule with
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
tread wear,
it's
whatever.
like 240 tread wear.
Yeah,
I think it's
So I ran
and
those.
235.
I brought 6 tires. And I was like, oh, there's no way. I
Dude.
made it. I did the same amount of battles as you, but I lost twice. He didn't lose at all. But I did the same amount of battles.
Didn't you qualify higher though?
Would
Yeah.
you-
Second. Yeah, where were you on that?
I
one?
don't even remember.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't remember.
Lower than-
Convenient. Doesn't remember on that one.
I got caught up on the lock stops a few times over driving it in the
Yeah.
wet and dry.
Yep.
But no, like,
You got a full wet lap.
no, I didn't.
You didn't? Oh, okay.
The first part of the track was wet, and then it
Mm.
gripped up on the bank.
And then at the bottom of the
And I-
second turn,
I drove around the bottom.
Yeah, the end of the little infield jobber.
the river flowing through there,
But,
four-wheel slides.
Yeah, it's just, it sucks that no one goes. And that's why I've been trying to tell everybody, like, hey, you should go. Hey, you should go. And people are like,
I think it's just simply marketing thing. Like,
maybe
I
marketing.
agree.
But,
I
then, but no,
agree.
no, because then you have people going, oh, it's so far. It's like, yeah, dude, it sucked. It took me
Mhm.
14 hours to drive there by myself. Like, it sucked. I hated
That's
it.
fast in 14 too. Yeah.
Yeah, like, but then there's people like closer. Like, I get it. If some dude from Orlando's like, oh, man, that's a
yeah,
hike.
that
Yeah.
I get. It.
Fair enough.
Right.
But
I
like,
still think those people should plan one a year.
yeah,
Like I feel like if you're on the East Coast and you're not at E-Town once a year, like you're blowing it.
100%.
Because I know it's the time thing, but like overall the cost and like all of that is not that much more. Like I know there's transport costs, there's things, but like I would give up driving a second event
Yeah.
in Florida or whatever to plan one trip to E-Town.
I feel like there's a lot of people that don't break the budget down like that.
Yeah, but that's
know?
a good thing probably.
Right? Yeah. There's
If you
both
want to
sides
break
of
the
it,
budget
right?
down, I won $4,000 at that event.
Going a little over what I was saying. I think
but I'm
people
just
just
saying,
look at it and
I-
they go, "Oh, it's really far. It's going to be a lot of money."
I could buy one drink at the bar at the end on the profit.
Yep.
But I trailered up a 2-car trailer,
Yeah.
paid for all of that. I stayed up there for 5 or 6 days. I did a lot. Like I took the team, we ate decent every night. Like,
Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse.
But
Shout
I'm
out.
just saying, there's people that are going to be like, "Oh, it's really far. It's going to be way too much money."
Yeah.
Versus if they break it down and do it realistically, versus doing something half as far,
Yeah.
they might be like, "Oh, it's really not that. It's another
not.
$200, right?
Right,
in
right,
travel,
right.
right?
And $200 to go drive E-Town.
Right, exactly. So that's what I'm getting at.
Also,
Like,
you get 2 or 3 days of driving instead of one.
sometimes
so-
it's a big negative to do the budget thing, but sometimes it's a little eye opening of like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's not
It's
as
really
bad."
not that bad.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and then also talking about the unlimited stuff.
Mhm.
Something that turned me off of doing unlimited. I think if you want to do unlimited, you should go do unlimited because it is gnarly. And those
yeah.
cars, yeah, they're a handful and they suck. But like after not driving one for a while, I'm like,
It's sick.
damn, I kind of miss that feeling. Of being like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, when you pick up the throttle, it's like, whoa.
But-
You're like, whoa.
Talking about
Yeah.
tires,
Cool. Yeah,
like
Oh God,
gross.
don't get me
How-
started on the tires.
No, let's get you started.
crazy
on the
tires
tire
are now.
It's terrible. They're too far.
It's gone too far.
Way too far.
It's gone too far because like, and I saw this like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, like when it started getting crazy in the grassroots scene. We saw it back in 2012 with Daigo
Yep.
and the Achilles guys, and they come over and everyone's like, dude, they're so fast. They're fast drivers. Their cars are crazy and blah blah.
you
And
look
then
at
like
it,
I look at Daigo's car and I'm like, no chance.
No
it's
shot.
this tire. But I'm like, how? How? Like, this was, you know, a long time ago. How could this tire make that much of a difference? Like, I was just didn't understand it. And I drove on one of those tires, and I was like, my car's broken. Like, meaning, like it doesn't even spin the tires in first gear. Like, and I'm like, and people are like, oh, it's fast, it's so much grip. But dude, some of these tires, the characteristics of them just make drifting easier, make you able to drive faster, make you able to do these things. And like, because the only thing that touches the ground is the tire.
Yeah.
Like, the tire to me is 85% of it. I truthfully believe, whether you're 235 or your ultimate or your what unlimited everything, if you had like a bone stock car with a crazy tire, like some of these Volino RSs and these other ones, and then you put one on a tire that's just like an FD legal tire, you could put the FD car on the FD legal tire and put the stock car on a Volino whatever, and it would be, the stock car would be way faster.
Yeah.
And you're talking about like how we have millions of dollars in development. We're so off the Richter of ridiculousness for car setup, and it doesn't matter because someone can throw a tire on a car that makes 1,200 horsepower and be faster and have an easier to drive car than you.
Yep.
And like, that's just like, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
It shouldn't be what it is.
It's, yeah. And then everyone's car's breaking.
Yeah.
And then all these dudes are like, I need more power. I need more power. And you're like, you don't need more power. You just need to free your car up. And they're like, I'm running 45 PSI. And you're like,
That's what
wait, what? I'm like, yeah. And I know their car is, I mean, I'm not hating, but I know their car is not maximized. No chance.
Right.
Like, they're on off the shelf shocks, and they're on, you know, they have no front sway bar, and there's no maximizing of anything. And, you know, you're like, oh, and like on one end, I'm like, why wouldn't you just throw these tires on there? Like, what's $40 more a tire in the grand scheme of things when you don't have to buy and engineer all of this crazy stuff?
Yeah.
You know?
True.
So, but dude, it's got to stop somewhere. Like, it's got to like,
Is it not like?
but it, to me, it does.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm just saying,
The
I feel like you're
driving.
going to have the people that continue to just want the better tire. Oh, I can just do it with a better tire. Oh,
But I
just give
think
me
the
a better
fix
tire.
is the concessions, right? It's like, hey, everyone now understands and like hopefully can see that this tire has a massive advantage. So you're only allowed to run a 265 of that tire, and then someone on another tire can run a 315 or and when they run a 315, you can't, if you're running the crazy tire, you can't bitch about it because you know.
Yep.
How do you
But that's-
establish that line of like?
I don't think it's that hard. I think like it's simple. Both drivers are on throttle, not playing a game. Lead driver pulls away. Lead driver loses. You've made your car too fast. You're winning not off of driving skill. You're just able to pull away in every single dig scenario.
So here's the problem with that. You said two drivers that are fair on throttle, whatever.
Right.
Combined,
Oh,
we don't have
I know.
enough digits to
I know.
count how many people wouldn't be honest about it.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying that's a solution.
Right.
I was just saying, like, when it becomes clear, it's like, hey, this is the advantage. We make an example out of this battle, is what I'm saying. So, like, hey, guys, you saw the battle with Tanner and Pat was on the crazy tire that we've all talked about. Tanner did. Do you agree, everybody, that Tanner did a great job? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Pat just yanked him at more angle, more everything. Like, that doesn't mean that either of those drivers are better than the other driver. It just means that either the car or the tire, which, again, I feel like it's 85% of the tire, then we need to say, hey, look, you're not allowed to run the RS or the R or whatever. You're allowed to run this. Like, we're not going to take this brand out of the tire. We're just going to make it so that, hey, that tire is not for this anymore.
35 Gambler.
Right.
Can't run an R.
Yeah.
Be a C.
But even still,
Yeah,
like,
the C is great.
but
It's a
like,
great-
yeah, it's a great tire. And like, you know, I show up, I run a Nitto that is a much harder tire that lasts 22 laps, and the efficiency of that tire is unbelievable. But it just doesn't have the grip that that tire has because it's not even a DOT tire. And it's like, you know, and it's like, I got to run a little bit bigger size, and within the rule book I can. and it's fair. And dudes in the 235 class are not bitching about it.
Nope.
They're like, oh, you have a 45 sidewall, so you can get a little lower tire pressure and make this still work.
Yeah, no one had a problem with it.
No one has a problem because they also are chasing me, and they're like, he's not fast,
Right.
right?
I feel like that's the thing. Even though the tires say that the Valino one is better, even if you have something comparable, the gap isn't the same.
Right.
Because it neutralizes some of that chassis setup and allows things to be a little bit more balanced for everybody.
Right.
You're not covering something up or band-aiding another problem with just a giant tire that works.
Right.
So it kind of just brings it all to a level field.
Yep.
Not to keep talking about the Gambler, but at the Gambler, Chelsea is making like chassis changes, like this and that. I showed up with a car with 3 different shocks on it.
Yeah.
That are all blown.
Yep.
With an alignment that we did at MA in like 10 minutes. And I went, oh, those arms don't work enough. It looks fine.
Yep.
And I put 08Cs on my car and I was faster.
Yep. Yeah.
True.
And like, I'm not hating on those Valinos. 'Cause
No.
honestly, I drove on them and I go, these are so sick. Like,
Right.
they're awesome. But the thing that I hate about the crazy tires, and this might be a stretch of an analogy, but I don't think it's an analogy. This might be a stretch. I hate the big crazy tires because they're expensive, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
We are turning drifting into drag racing.
Yeah.
Because sure, I know there's chassis setup and there's this and there's that in drag racing. But the dude that has the most money in drag racing is 9 times out of 10 going to win.
As long as he has some knowledge or has somebody in his
Right.
corner with knowledge, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You can pay somebody with knowledge to set your car up.
Yep.
And then a lot of those cars, automatic parachute. You don't do anything.
Drag racing is
traction
a lot
control.
harder than that to
No,
me.
it's not.
I feel like it is.
A little
Bullshit.
bit, yeah.
I'm a bad drag racer.
Because
think
you're
it's that
not
Jimmy
driving
leg,
drag
dude.
cars.
Okay.
You're driving drift cars trying to drag race them.
Yeah, maybe.
Dude,
I don't
think
know.
about all those nutso drag cars. They have crazy traction control. They have this, they
Oh.
have that.
Yeah.
All
Dude.
the dude does is sit in there, floor it, hold a button,
Yep.
go boom, boom, boom.
I
boom.
won't say any names, but I was at an event one time, and there were some professional drag
Here we go.
racers there
Yep.
that are professional, like have a house and salary and are living life off of drag racing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this as any smack because there's a much bigger picture to all this than what I'm saying. But we had to do a burnout, and one of the people that was a drag racer there came up to me and said, "Hey, I don't know how to do a burnout."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, he's not joking." And I didn't laugh because he was like, kind of like, "Hey, man,
Yep.
like I need some help. How am I going to do this?"
Yeah.
And he's like, I told him, I'm like, "Oh, so basically just, let your foot off, floor it,
Yep.
let your foot off the clutch and just get on the brake and
Yeah.
hold the brake just enough that you don't roll
Now-
forward."
Question: how many people do you think are going to have this in their car and try to do this as you're explaining it?
I don't know. I hope they do a burnout if
Right.
they do.
Yeah.
But don't just limit or dump it because these weren't their cars, but I didn't want them
Some
to
poor
fail.
dude's got this on in his car. He's just like,
Yeah. Yeah. And now he's sitting listening to this podcast
Yeah.
with a broken
us
axle.
laughing while we're
Especially
like,
if he's got
this
the the Lino tires on there. But anyways, so I explained it to him, and I'm like thinking, like, you do 0 to 300 miles an hour in a car that's not a rail car,
Yeah.
and you don't know how to do a burnout. Like, you do a burnout every time, but they have like, I guess, line lock and buttons and things.
Yeah, throttle stops.
doodads.
Yeah, and to
whiz
do all
bangs.
that. Very interesting to me. I didn't take like I was not laughing at it, but thinking about it later, I was like, man, like what?
Yeah.
And then the same thing is like the drag racing. It's like we also have a portion of that in drifting, regardless of how you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the run up and playing the game of like making sure you have enough speed, not too much. Like there's like the bracket racing kind of thing. So like we go as fast as we can almost at some tracks for a quarter mile, and then the sport starts, right?
Right.
Or we throw it in and get sideways. But like every time I've gone drag racing, I've struggled to make it happen. But also I'm on like 300 treadwear street tires and a
Right.
manual
Yeah.
car with crazy front spring rates. And
Well,
like,
and also like the button pusher dudes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I can go get in one and do it. Because, like, yeah, there's timing. There's the
Yeah.
knowledge of how it works and this and that.
and the
but it's
setup
like-
of it.
Once it like turns into repetitions, and like, yeah, it is set up, but there's a lot of dudes that are like paying other people to come in and set them
Yeah.
up for them, which is fine. That's cool.
There's just a different dynamic with
I'm just
drifting.
saying about the money.
Yeah.
is the crazy tires are turning it into something similar to drag racing where the dude with
Yeah.
the most money wins.
I feel like that's just every
It's true.
motorsport. Even like you look at
Dude, drifting until these crazy tires came out,
Yep.
you could always blow the tire off in an average drift car.
Right. You know, I'm just saying in motorsport, it always like even Spec Miata. Look how far that stuff's gone.
Yeah, but that is held back by the tire. They do something about the tire.
Yeah.
Like, and with drifting, what's so hard is you can't have a spec tire. It's too hard because we need companies to be involved. We need 10 different tire companies. We need the ability of Joe to show up with a car that he bought with some tires off of Walmart, you know, that he found out was cool by buying all of them, and like finding the cheapest tire that does what his car needs to win. We need, like, we can't back ourselves into a corner and make everyone drive on Nittos.
Right.
You know, like even Adam tried to do that and it doesn't work. Like, it just like everyone has something going on because they've been running a different tire and now their setup's wrong, and the guys that have been running Nitto forever already have it dialed and know the deal, and like
Yeah.
it becomes this huge thing. Like, I get it. I just think there needs to be a cap, right? And I think the cap right now is like this silly size and treadwear thing.
Yeah.
And treadwear means absolutely nothing at all.
Little stamp, baby.
Nothing, dude.
It just nothing. Like, it is literally in the book from DOT saying
side
that if you have an all-season tire, you can stamp it anything from 300 to 900. If you have an ultra summer tire, you can stamp it anything from 60 to 300 or 320.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally anything you want. It's just a marketing
There's no
tool.
guidelines other than that
Yeah.
all.
huge
Little stamp.
range.
Yep.
Little side tangent. Kind of a cool event idea, right? If you could get enough tire partners on board to be like, all right, they're each going to give you X amount of tires, right? And you do it like the circle track guys, where when you show up, you got to buy your tires for the season or whatever. Like that event, the event organizer's like, all right, you run this size, you're going to get these. Someone else gets something. So you don't know what tire you're going to get
Got it.
until you get there. But you, as the event organizer, knows which ones are which. So they're all balanced, relatively
so you could
close.
do your best to balance the fast cars
Correct.
and fast drivers with that. Yeah.
And you could kind of get an idea of like,
And it's your problem when it doesn't go right.
Yeah.
so then you blanket it. You blanket it one size, all different
Yeah,
tires.
yeah.
Everyone gets whatever.
I know. I don't
Something. I don't know.
I don't know how to do it outside of making. So my thing and what I've been working on for probably 6 months now, and I'll hopefully be done at some point before the end of the year, is making a 3-tier tire system.
I was gonna bring up your list thing.
Yeah, so like I make a list of unlimited tires and sizes and availability, and then I make a list of competition-based tires where I feel like it should be these tires if you're competing.
Yeah.
And then a list of grassroots fun and understanding competitions where it's like not about the speed, it's more about how long it lasts and being equal, you know, across the board, and budget friendly and things of that nature. Like, so that way, hey, we're going to go drive Gambler 235. You get tier 3 or tier C. It doesn't even have to be good or bad. It's, you're going to pick a tire from this list of 60 tires.
Yep.
And you can run it in any size up to this size. And then, hey, there's this tire that is not good at all, right? But lasts forever.
Yep.
And you can run a 265 instead of a 245, right? So you have all of this scenario where then everybody's within a box, right? There's going to be better tires than other tires, but
it's relative, right?
it's relative,
Yeah.
right? So you're like, ooh, like that is a better tire. It costs a little bit more money, like, but like my car is slow for some reason, or I have a heavier car than everybody else, and I don't want to spend the money. Like, I'm gonna run that tire, like, because it works a little better.
Saying then you do that as an event organizer.
Right. But I think you could come up with this tier system and have everybody kind of adopt it. Like, that's my dream of it, is like, yo, like if it's unlimited and you want it to be crazy and you're going to have all these crazy cars come and they're okay with spending the money and doing it, there is this option that has 4 tires or 5 tires on it. And that's kind of it.
Yeah. With logically, that makes the most sense. We're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Yes. But drifting, this one term comes to mind whenever I think of drifting.
Oh, man.
Herding cats.
Oh, yeah.
It's impossible, bro. Everyone wants to do something different. Everyone wants threw me off. Everyone wants to I did this.
I was waiting because I
And
knew
then-
like there was gonna be a Mancho
Yeah.
thing coming.
Like they want to, and it's there's so many people, and I see them so much in drifting that they're like they want to argue the point,
Oh yeah.
no matter what it is, dude.
Oh
They
yeah.
want to argue with Chelsea Denofa.
Oh gosh.
Additive.
Like
It's like-
there are people that I know that I've worked with before that I could say, "Huh, sky's blue," and they go, "It's red, Pat."
Yeah.
They go,
Or it's
"All right,
this
man."
shade of blue,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
idiot.
Yeah. And it's like, what do you know, Pat? Because one time you put Brian Wilkerson's lug nuts on backwards. I did do that. But like,
Okay, like the cone is out?
it's not a thing. Don't worry
Put
about
'em on
it.
with a
How do you
wrench?
put a lug nut on backwards?
Don't worry
Was
about
the
it.
wrench stuck on there?
They were the little cone ones, and I put them
Walk over and they're all on backwards, and it's like
Good job, Pat.
on. Yeah, it was the first time I ever met
Special
Brian
Pat.
Wilkerson, and he was like annoyed by me already, and I did that, and he looks at Josh Baker, and he goes, "What the is this kid doing?" I went, "Oh no."
I'm
I was like 17.
real impressed with your ability to like know you're gonna swear
He-
and then hit the button.
Well, because the F
don't
word's
have that.
kind of like a filler word. Like,
Yeah.
you could not use it in every sentence. I
like
can't believe
Yeah.
this. I can't fucking believe this. That's fine. I don't care.
Dude, come on.
Life goes on, dude. It's just a word.
But no,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
the herding cats thing, man.
It's not an offensive word, so it's fine.
Well,
No, but it's true. Okay, so like you were saying, people to argue, right? And like I have such a hard time of this because I feel like I dedicate so much of my life to figuring shit out, and I'm also like I have a problem with having to understand everything, like to the
Yeah,
T. Like I almost argue with people to get information from
Yeah.
them
Yep.
to like articulate and have a conversation so that like I learn something
Yeah.
and the
It was-
person also learns something. But like
about the glow plug lights.
oh yeah. No, but like I'm on the internet yesterday and somebody was posting about, hey, like I'm having trouble with gearing at this particular track. It was US Air. And the guy's like, I'm running a 391. And everyone in the comments, 391 is God, 391 is the best, 391 is this. I'm like, 39, I responded, I'm like, 391 is great. I'm like, but if you go to a different track, you might need something different because you need a gear. And as simple as explaining it, hey, you might need a gear that's half of the 2 gears you have. So you need a 2.5, right?
Yeah.
If you have a 391 and a BMW with a ZF, and that's what this was about, second gear only goes like 50 something miles an hour, depending on your wheel diameter or tire diameter. And the thing is like at that track, you might need 63. So you might need a longer gear or a way shorter gear.
Yeah.
Then go to third.
Right. And I simply just said, I'm like, hey, you can go way longer, go to 345 or 338, or you can go the other way, 41, 44, and have 3 and 4 and shift just forward and back. But the shorter the gear in the rear, the smaller the ring and pinion is. And this guy had a turbo car.
Yeah.
So I was like, you might want to just go with the longer one. And this dude is like, you don't know anything about gearing. Gearing is
Yeah,
the
you
power
knothead.
band. Gearing is the power band. You could have 70 horsepower and put a 7.7 gear in your car and it would spin 5th gear. And I'm just like,
Yep.
yeah, you know what? You're actually not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, but the gearing is not the power band.
No.
Like, the gearing puts your car in the power band at a selected wheel speed. And I'm like, I said, he said something spicy, and I responded back, yeah, I responded back with the same spicy comment where like and said you're a worthless piece of shit basically because I'm like
Love it.
I literally have a quick change in all of my cars that I compete in basically outside the Fox body, and like I do 1.5 mile an hour gear changes.
Oh yeah.
I do a split of 3 miles an hour and then get another 100 RPM in the ECU. I do, that didn't do it. Like, it works, but like, if I get in a jam, like, Ray, can you give me like 750 or 75 RPM earlier nitrous activation
Yeah.
so that I can it just makes me feel better.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Might
can
not
drive
need
it
it.
without
I might-
any of it.
There's
But I'm doing that in my head, and you're gonna
Yeah.
tell me I don't know anything about gearing. But that's what I was saying is like, it almost stops progression and understanding because
Yeah.
people are so not receptive of things. You know, like that would be like asking
Or
Pat a question about an S chassis with a turbo V8 on a 275 Falcon tire, and then you give them an answer, and they're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And you're like, that's all he's ever driven on. Like,
God set up, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just saying, like, you're like you laugh, you know, like, because it's just like, whatever, dude. You asked me, do whatever you want. But like that attitude sucks with drifting.
Sometimes it would be fine if people were just a little bit more assertive and combative, because then you could have that attitude and work out the problem.
Yeah,
of course.
But when they just go, you know what, he's too mean, I'm just not even going to bother.
Yeah,
no one gets anywhere.
Dude. I was in the pit at Gambler, the same thing, and the dude was like, "Oh, like my car keeps falling out of boost. It keeps falling out of boost." And I'm like, I go over, I look at his car, and I'm like, manual boost controller and stock ECU. I'm like, dude, like you probably have another 500 RPM of power band you could have by going with even just a what do you call it, electronic boost controller, and then you have more in like something that's like an ECU. Like you don't even need. He's talking about changing turbos and going to quick change and like all this stuff, and I'm like, like you probably got more just having it. Yeah, you know, and that's like these little things. And the guy's like, quick change is just like all adjustable. It's easy. So I'm like, that's cool. Like if that's the route you want to go and spend $6,000 on a quick change and carry it, but I know you're going to spend $6,000 on on a quick change and have 2 gear sets.
Well, not only that, now you have 1 diff.
Right.
What are you gonna do when that one breaks?
Yeah.
You gotta buy another one.
Yeah.
My favorite quick change thing, I was trying to explain to somebody that had just recently gotten a quick change. They're like, "Oh my!" I approached them because I was like, "Oh, their gear is like wildly wrong."
Yeah.
Way
so
too
wrong.
short.
You could probably flip the gear and it'd be right.
I literally told them that. But we start talking about quick changes and whatever.
For everyone listening who doesn't know what a quick change is, just so we've gone through this forever, it's just a setup that you have 2 gears in the rear that can change the gear like in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You can change it to any gear you want in like 2 or 3 mile an hour increments.
So I start talking to him and I go, dude, like, and I never found out, but I think they had the gear upside down.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I think you need to flip it. And they're like, well, that'd be like 30 miles an hour. And I go, yeah, like that's what you need.
Yeah, it sounds like you're in 5th right now.
And they go, oh, okay. And I go, just check it out, whatever. And then they're like, well, what kind of changes would you do with your quick change? I go, oh, you know, like we'd take a pretty good guess at it and then go drive it. And then if we were way off, you know, we'd do like a 10 mile an hour change.
That's huge.
And then I was like, a 5 mile an hour change is a
it's big
swing.
Yeah.
Like you're going nuts.
Yeah.
I go,
you messed something up when you're doing 5 to 7 miles an hour.
I go, usually it's like 2.
Yeah. Yeah, but like they don't.
And then he goes, what the point of having a quick change? I go, well, to like optimize. And he goes, dumb. And I went, copy that, brother.
I know. Well, there's the other
brother.
theory that a lot of cars like just come with inferior differentials, and a quick change is a really strong and simple and prefabricated way almost at this point.
Yeah, but also like you guys were saying, it's so expensive to get the quick change.
Oh yeah,
in the car,
and then you need a spare.
You don't have but to just buy the gears alone to make the 2 mile an hour changes.
Yeah, $150
They're like, oh, 5 is fine, right? So then you're stuck in those windows of 5 mile an hour jumps because like buying all the gear sets is another crazy amount of money.
Yeah, but like if you have 5 gear sets that are 5 mile an hour differences,
plus the flips.
Yeah, plus the flips. Yeah. Plus, like if you have half a brain, like you can plan your tire size for the event. You can change your rev limiter a little bit here and there to squeeze some stuff. You could probably put a little bit more jam down low or whatever to like justify it. Like you're in a good window.
We're giving a lot of credit.
Yes. But, well, right. So my Fox body, I have 2 gears, right? I'm like I have a 3.5 and a 4.1, right? And
you have the ability in the brain to go in the computer.
Well, yeah, but I can only go so far, right? And then I play the diameter game where I'm like, oh, that track, like I need more speed, and my car won't pull 4th, so I need more 3rd gear. So I go up an inch in tire size, I gain 7 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour, and it's like that's a quick change in itself, you know?
You don't bounce tires a lot, like diameter or even compound.
What do you mean?
You go somewhere and you're like, damn, I'm struggling to pull this. Get a fucking worse tire or
you guys
a tire that's not as grippy, right?
Yeah.
Like play,
congratulations.
Play that game.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, what can I do to the chassis to like make this totally different?
Yeah.
The tire that's not as crazy.
Or yeah.
There's always options, but it's
there's a lot of stuff you can do in drifting.
There's a lot.
Yep.
A lot of things to say is
Yep.
wrong or argue too.
That's right.
So
But 235 Gambler,
it's the best
just
thing
to
ever.
circle back,
Where
that's
it's
the
at.
best. I'm looking forward to driving two or three of those next year.
I'm trying to do the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
I like that. I'm really not wanting to fight like a championship and be involved in that at all.
So
after
that's-
He
last
got
year.
one. He's already done. He's
Yeah.
no more.
I don't mean it like that.
Yep. Why would I ever need another one? You know.
Here's my thought process with that.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
be
bring it
careful. That
on
thing's
you.
sharp,
On-
dude.
Oh no, the picture.
That's it.
Put it in frame here.
The old Gambler, dude.
A little smuts.
that
on
for?
it. You couldn't clean that thing.
Dude. Yeah.
Fine, bro.
So, anyways,
So I got the win here, and this was a very good event. This was there's so many good battles.
Like June.
Oh yeah, it was right after FD.
Yeah.
No, before FD. Before FD.
it was the weekend before
Before FD.
Jersey FD.
Yeah, dude. E-Town's track, sick. They keep making little upgrades and little changes that keep making me stoked to go back. The battles were so good.
You and Chris at the end was wild.
He just had like a tick more car than me, and he's real. Yeah, it's basically his old car. And it's E36, E46. I mean, come on. But
I
yeah,
did
he had a
kinda
tick
hose you
more
a little
car.
bit.
He also, I think he was on the Kenda.
Yep. Firm.
Yeah. And I think he knows the track just a tick better than me. Like that's what it came down to. Like he's really good. And I kept getting jammed leaving outer zone 2. Like because my car couldn't get the dig because I was running like the setup I had was really great everywhere except right there.
Yeah.
Because it's bumpy and the anti-squat in the car like was just fighting itself. So I couldn't get the car to dig like out of where the pavement like attaches.
That changeover.
That was like the only place you were slow.
And I was unwinding the angle in it,
Yeah.
and the car was still at it. It was just like I couldn't lock it down.
Yeah.
And he would yank me there every time, and I would be like, finally, and I think feeling like that's the reason I won. I said, screw that outer zone. I'm gonna put my tire at his front tire through there,
Yeah.
and then he's gonna just naturally pull away with his speed. But then I can get the rest of the track.
Yeah.
I can do my dive, and it worked enough that I think I had just a little bit of an advantage. But I honestly didn't know who won the battle. Like it was
Yeah.
that close, and like there were no bad battles. No mistakes were made. The battles
trying to,
were
like-
clean the entire time. I can't even remember the last event where I had clean battles all the way. FD this year, I didn't get a clean run to the end
Yeah.
at any event. Like people are crashing into each other, pushing too hard, spinning out. Like there's just so many things. Like, and I feel like it's just strictly because of the cars being so maxed out that like sometimes it just happens that way. And like the tracks are so big and so like overall speed and the reaches are so long that we've maxed out all of our cars all the time.
Oh yeah. I watched this morning before I came over here. I watched Forsberg's video from Irwindale,
Yeah.
and like we all know.
I should have been
Forsberg's-
wearing a Forsberg shirt here.
We all know Chris is one of the best drift car drivers in the
Oh
world.
yeah, for sure.
We all know he knows how to drive a Z.
Yeah.
His in car, of course, it's still smooth. Forsberg, like his style. So many times his car is so hooked up, you see it push through the fronts, and you see him like turning into it.
Fighting it.
Like
You see
whoa,
the
like,
dash lights for revs
Yep.
max out and him steering left
Yep.
on the bank or right on it. It's like just like understeering.
Yeah, and like, but that's a cool thing for people to watch. Watch somebody like Forsberg that is so smooth. I love watching Forsberg's end car because it's like he knows there's a camera and he goes, "I'm gonna make it look."
Yeah, but that's just how he drives all the time.
Yeah, but then like watching him,
Almost to a fault.
yeah, but watching him struggle, I was like, those cars. Because I watched Atlanta 22 when you guys were there. I watched Osbo's car. Your cars always look, the Mustangs always look insane to drive. But Osbo's car, I watched it, just watched it on live stream, watched it go up the hill, and I go, oh, I can't drive those cars anymore. That's impossible. And then
You just
seeing
make
Chris,
it work though.
yeah, but then seeing Chris turn in and like do
Oh, yeah.
handsy stuff, I'm like, those cars are impossible to drive. I don't know how you guys drive them anymore.
I don't think people understand that.
It's
You know?
Yeah, and the thing is like you watch some of the other series, like even Drift Masters and stuff, and you're like, man, their cars are fast, but the track
Fast.
speed is slow,
Yeah.
right? So you see the digs, you see them picking up speed, you gain that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas FD is like a lot of just like big, massive turns on banks. Like if all of those tracks were flat,
That's way now.
yeah, careful. If all of the tracks we had were flat and didn't have a bank, oh, like I could just not run nitrous pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Like the power and like the fact that like my FD car probably makes 1100 horsepower and it makes over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque and 1,000 horsepower for like 4,000 RPM,
Yeah.
and I'm bogging the car and like causing understeer and like finding the limit of a 275 or 285 on the front of my car.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's like it's silly, and it's mostly for like I just feel like the tracks are just they just ring everything out.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining. It's sick. It's fast. It's awesome. Like you might just sustaining a banked track at 75 or 80 miles an hour requires
I love
X
that we
amount
have
of
banks.
horsepower.
Like,
It's cool.
yeah.
The setup end of it's fun.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, like Gambler too. Like, you know, I feel like I go to a track and I have an advantage because I have a setup and I understand how it works. But Gambler doesn't favor any directions.
yeah.
It's got good lefts, good rights, uphills, downhills, and there is no like, oh, I could take
Right.
advantage of my car on this turn.
Well, and also like you were saying, like this is not a dig at E-Town at all. The roughness of it,
Oh yeah.
like that's another setup.
yeah, it's a
Oh, like-
cheese grater.
But it's sick.
Well,
like,
it's like bumpy rough.
yeah,
that's the
and-
thing,
In
like-
my car with like whatever shocks on the car, every time I'd go past inner one, Chelsea's like, "Dude, the bump! I keep my car this and that." And I go, "This is weird." Then I realized my car's just jumping at inner one, like tires
Yeah.
are on the ground. I go,
Yeah.
"This is pretty cool."
Yeah, that bump.
Yeah, my car, because I was like trying to make a 17-inch 235 G2, like high treadwear, last forever kind of scenario work. I had a lot of anti-squat in it because they have good side, they just have no
Yeah.
forward. And I would hit the bumps and it would start activating the anti-squat. And there's pictures of my car where the wheel gap in the back is like this big, and it's because it's constantly trying to push the tire through the earth.
Yeah.
But while I'm hitting bumps, so it's just like rear, but it's not coming off the ground. It's
You go in
actually
the pit and it's like tucking half a tire, and
Yeah.
you're like,
yeah. You're like, what's going on? Yeah, and then I light off, and the car's like boop, boop, pops up in the air.
weasel.
Yeah, just like
That's
different.
the name for that thing, the weasel.
Weasel.
It's always pop.
Yeah, that's goes the weasel.
Right.
Wicked weasel, bro.
No, you get one of those
Oh,
on
come on.
Wait, what's this one? I forget.
That's the heartbeat.
Oh, the heart.
the heartbeat. Yeah.
Uh,
I don't remember too. Eh.
That one just keep going forever.
I think so.
Oh, okay. Either way, yeah. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, I think that it's look at all the different cars that were driving that event, the E-Town event, and look at all the different drivers and styles. But the battles were great. There was at no point outside of like maybe a dig where there was some poor timing. At no point was there more than a car in between every single person. And at no point was I driving in a way that was like, I just need to get through this battle.
Yeah.
Everything was like,
Had 235 run there.
yeah,
And like run meaning like the event.
yeah.
I think the 235 class has just been killing it all season since.
It is. But again, so proof to the fact that, hey, there should be some sort of limiting factor here because that is what's causing it. You are talking about the super sticky tires and having, man, the amount of power you can make, you can always put down with these sticky tires. So what is the limit? What is that?
Yeah.
And then what happens with that is you got guys that maybe drive with a lot of angle and a lot of grip and crazy amount of power. But then when they unwind it and they transition, the car is picking up speed like crazy, makes it really hard to chase. And I'm not talking about things that are like making it so that, let's say, drifting isn't great to watch, you know, or limiting drifting to the point where it's like, oh, like this is unlimited, group B, blah, 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 crazy. But like, yo, it's just got to like, the driving has to progress back
right.
to match that. And the cost effectiveness needs to come back. Like, we need to make it so that when you go to the track, you don't break a quick change or a dog box or something that's $5,000 to $10,000 a weekend
It's
to
supposed to be
service.
insanely strong.
Yeah.
Right, because we're now finding this other limit, and you're in a grassroots event still. Like
Funny.
FD can find all the limits. Let it be.
Yeah.
Grassroots, We got to put some limitations on it to keep it that way.
Funny that like that circle track stuff that held like pretty big power
Yeah.
forever. That was bulletproof, right?
Yeah.
Now like this sport has come so far that it's like it's not working anymore.
Well, I will say like
it's crazy.
the sprint cars, like they're down on torque a little bit,
Right.
but like Bowman's wing car makes 920, and it's like that's fine, just it goes.
Yeah.
And like when they're like driving them like in traffic, they're not like gotta be easy on the rear end.
Yeah.
They're wide open, and if they have to lift, it's a
Yeah.
like they're
Over and over
they're
again.
going, and
Yeah.
they're just like yeah whatever. And
Now
now
this sport's breaking that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's just crazy.
Often.
Yeah, that's
Utah
what
was
exactly.
like 5 broken quick changes that have 300M shafts in them and have been upgraded already for drifting versus all these other sports. It's like, I know in drag racing, the quick change thing, they've been breaking quick changes forever. Like people don't even run them. They run 9 inches or whatever crazy diffs and stuff. But like, yeah, like breaking a quick change, like guys, let's reassess what's going on here. Oh, no one even makes a diff that will hold this. Great. Oh, won't hold a 265 street tire.
yeah.
35 sidewall. Oh my gosh.
So one thing I know you wanted to talk about drivers meetings.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I'm so sick. I'm just gonna come right out swinging. I'm so sick of the what is that?
The wrong one.
No.
Oh, you're gonna need the bleep button.
Well, I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna
You
get.
can do both. I'm so sick of the goddamn. You know what to do. Go do it, dude. No shot. All right, you're killing me. You're killing my. I'm trying to vibe.
We need one of those like pa, 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 pa
No, I get
noises
it.
in there.
I get it.
Like,
shots
Hate
fired.
that.
It's so stupid, dude.
Yeah,
like, give
I
these
actually
people some
don't-
criticism, or even just what you want them to see.
Yeah.
So when a call goes a certain direction, they know why the god it went the way it did. Because like people
He
are
said went the way it did.
so mad about not knowing why a call went the way it did because there's no goddamn guidelines of what they want to see as a judge.
Dude, Tanner
I'm
is turned
so
right now.
pissed about it because
I'm gonna have to turn your fader down, dude.
Bro.
Headphone users beware, dude.
it's been going on for too long now.
So I'm on both sides of that.
Yes.
So I'm on the side of like, hey guys, let's not argue, bicker, and have conversation about things that are in the definition of drifting,
Right. But
right? But
I have a lot of people that don't agree with what has been the previous definition of what
yeah,
something
well,
should
true,
be.
true. But that's
So
what
now-
questions are for.
Right.
Right. But everyone's afraid to ask a question.
Well, that's their problem then. If
Yeah,
you don't
that's
ask the
on them.
question,
Okay,
you die
fair.
on the sword. But
Yep.
my other thing is like the judges need to come in and have a literally 90-second conversation planned on what they want to see.
Track
Keep
map.
it simple. This is where I want you to be. I want you to be
Correct.
using the angle to slow down. I want you to be maximizing this. You know, it's okay if you use a handbrake on this deceleration turn, but past that, we don't really want to see it. You can use it, but it's going to be a deduction.
That's what I mean.
And this is it. This is it.
Right.
You know, like,
That
so
would
when,
go so far versus like, yeah, you guys have all been here, like just do the thing.
yeah, no.
No, not acceptable. The amount of money
Yeah.
people pay to come do this, and you're gonna shortchange them like that? Fuck that. There we go.
I agree. I have another part of that. I think people need to ask questions
Yep.
because I know most of the people have a question, and if you don't, then you haven't taken 5 minutes out of your day to
Think
go
about it.
look at the track
Yeah.
and be like, that doesn't make sense to me. And when you get to the driver's meeting, you can be like, hey, enter clip 1, like looks like it's like this. Are we trying to make it tough, or are we trying to make it flow correctly? Because if you're trying to make it tough, then it's good where it's at. If it's, you know, whatever. Like I
And,
look
like,
at
along with that, if you're trying to make it tough, what are you looking to see us do to get around that? What do you not want to see us do to make that work? Right.
yeah.
So like that's where you could be like, yeah, we don't want to see a crazy big e-brake drag to get there. Like find a different way to go about it.
Right. And you know what? At some part, it is your job to find a different way to go about that. But on the other end, too, like you can discuss, hey,
Oh, yeah.
I think that works great if everyone's car is super loose, and that's what we're going to do. When the cars are tight, we're going to have this kind of a
Yeah,
problem.
and I'm not saying spoon feed them what to do.
Yeah.
But like there's got to be guidelines, man, because then when
Yeah.
someone makes a call and people are just like, I don't understand.
My second part of that is that people watching, whether they're in the stands or watching a live stream or FD or whatever series you're at, they need to know what was said in the driver's meeting.
Yes.
So like,
1000%.
hey, in the driver's meeting, we said this.
Yep.
So we're looking for these things.
Exactly.
And then, hey, throughout the event, we've seen these things, and
From
only a
this
few
person,
people
right?
are doing it.
Yep.
We really like that. So in the driver's meeting, we've asked for that. So that way, when people are like, oh, they didn't do what they asked, it looked great. Everything was fine.
Make it a little
But
bit
that
easier.
guy did it, and that guy didn't.
Yeah.
So that's why he won.
Make it
you
easier
know?
for the spectators to follow along and
Yeah,
not
also-
just be like, oh,
yeah.
that guy did whatever, but we don't know why that was what it was.
Yeah. Also, we're going into this turn. You guys are flying out of it, and the next turn is 30 miles an hour slower. So the chase car has to give the person in front of them a way to slow down, and the chase car is at the liberty of what that guy does until that guy lights off, and then roles reversed.
Yeah.
Now it's that guy's job to stay on the gas and do whatever, you know? So like there's little things like we just had 3 minutes of conversation that could be had in the driver's meeting.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that gets relayed to the people watching
Yep. And
via
it's just like,
announcer,
I don't
via
even
whatever.
think it's one series. Like we've all been to a bunch of events. I think
yeah.
it's a lot of them.
And you just feel boned. You're
That's
like,
what
I
I'm
got
saying,
boned.
right.
You're like, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
You know, like, and
it's
like
not even
here
like-
I am doing what I think the best observation and best scenario is. It looks sick. It's great.
It felt cool.
And then some other guy does something that might even be easier and gets praised for it. And you're like, that's literally, I
And
could have
that's-
done that all weekend.
Like that's what pushes people away from competition.
Yeah.
They're like, I got screwed. I'm not going to go waste my money doing that again.
Yeah. Well,
It's not
everybody
even-
feels like they get screwed no matter what.
Yeah, but I feel
Nonstop.
like there's less of it if you have a better explanation.
Or the guy telling you in the driver's meeting is like, no, that's not how this goes. And if it needs to change, it will change after this event.
Exactly.
We've already started doing this. This is what you're doing.
Yep.
Yep.
You know?
So let me ask you this. This is a question as like a judge that I cannot stand to hear because I feel the reason why is because a recent event, someone was asking questions and they were trying to get me.
Oh, yeah.
Like you could tell. Like
Trying to get you to stick to one thing.
no,
or to
no.
get you,
Like a gotcha.
Okay.
So like
I got to hear this.
yeah.
it was something about like an outside zone, whatever.
You know who you are. You're watching
And
this.
they're like, what's better, running the line or less line? I can't remember. Oh man, damn! Now I sound like a idiot because I can't remember his exact.
Well,
word.
you have a trophy for that.
Yeah,
Hardly hear that.
but I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I was like, no, like I
Sweating it.
was like, they're both. I was like, they're both deductions either way, and I was like, they're the same.
Right.
Which one's worse? And I go,
told you
they're
both.
both. Like it's like
Yeah.
like it was like, would you rather us do this or do that? And I go, the right way, like what you like. That's the way it's explained, and the way that it's yeah. Well,
What if this crazy circumstantial thing happens?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, I don't know.
I'm going to judge it for that person's run versus your run
Yeah,
and decide who's better. And there's 2 other people that are going to do that, and we're going to decide who wins.
and then like 2 minutes later in this meeting, gives it away. Luke Fink was there.
Mm.
He goes, "Hey,
Hi, mate.
oh crikey, what's all this then?"
Shots fired.
And he's
dude.
like talking about something, and I'm like, we're not gonna change it. It is what it is. I know it's not ideal, but it's how we have to do it.
Yep.
He goes, "Thanks."
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I
That's
don't like
it.
it either.
Right.
But like Luke's a adult,
Yeah.
He
Oh,
goes-
yeah.
and he goes, "It sucks." And I go, "I know." I go, "I want
Yeah.
to change it." And he goes, "No, I get it."
But that's fair.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's everyone agreeing about something and having an understanding. And I'm not saying that like a judge has to say it in a way that every single person understands every little thing. It's always a judge sport. There's going to be no way, but there needs to be a presence that kind of says like, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. And
Yeah.
then maybe that's on Friday. And then
Yeah.
Saturday, everybody's like, hey man, we're having a real hard time with this. And then I was like, okay, together, do you want to change it to this or leave it?
Yeah.
And that's it. Your only decision is we're going to move this cone 2 feet
Yeah.
or change this zone 2 feet, or we're going to leave it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. Vote. it's 50-50. I decide we're leaving it.
XDC, they did that with the entire layout. Orlando.
Oh yeah.
It was
Maybe.
like everyone in practice after the first practice meeting was like, "This is terrible."
Oh yeah, and that
So, off you
happens.
go.
Like,
right.
When you came down,
Yeah, and I smacked the wall bad.
yeah, because they were
with
trying
your
to
big
with
cow
the,
hood,
with the
dude.
crumpled beer can. That
they were
was
trying to run it
It was root beer
backwards.
colored
Yeah,
that car.
and we're all like,
gold.
they
It was
tell
root beer.
us, Petty's like, this is what we're doing. I'm like, I go, it doesn't really work.
Yeah,
I
there
was
was
like,
like,
we've tried, like,
yeah,
it was CFRC. I drove there, I literally drove there 2 to 3 times a week, all
Yeah,
the time.
for
I
sure.
go, it doesn't work.
Right.
Oh, it's sick. And I'm like,
not. We
It's-
lost 3 cars that first practice session.
yeah,
Yep, great.
like,
Yeah, that was the one where Chris Jackson like split the wall in half, right?
no, that was the next year.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it was. No, it might have been that same year.
Jeremy
a lot
got
of
in the
wrecks.
wall too, right?
Jeremy wrecked.
Yeah.
I wrecked, but on the separate layout.
Stonebeck
That's when
Yep.
I
smashed
Bad.
his
That
car.
was
yeah.
the first layout. Backwards
Stonebeck
into that
literally from
center thing.
the taillights to the back window.
Oh yeah.
Gone.
It,
Oof.
never seen a 14 smush that bad before.
Bonk, if you will.
Yeah.
It's more of like
dude.
a
Ooh,
Yeah.
it was a bit of a yeah, you're right. Yeah, big boof. I remember that because when I drove those events,
yeah.
I
Those
was
were the
like-
ones where you would show up, not do practice, go out, qualify first, and then win the event and go home with your X5.
Oh shit!
Actually, that was
I forgot about his XDC championships.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, hey, I showed up and the car's blown up, so I'm just gonna park in the grass after every run
Yeah.
He showed up to Charlotte and he goes,
and still win.
he's like, yeah, I got this hood on my car, and I go, oh, it looks dumb. He goes, it's worth a bunch of money, and I go, what if you crash? He goes,
So this was back when I was like driving all the time,
Yeah.
traveling and like staying places, and like I would be like, "Hi, you can only afford to drive like 40 laps a month."
yeah,
Like that's just like how it works. Like my tire sponsor at the time was like giving me 8 tires a month.
Yeah.
Like it was like that. It worked fine, but like I would show up and I'd just watch, or like spot for myself and see, hey, everybody's missing this, everybody's making a mistake, everybody's doing this, and I would go out and do like a practice lap or 2 with my car that would show up pretty hooked up, pretty fast. It made like 500 wheel, and I was probably the only one running like 8 to 10 pounds in the tires. They weren't great tires, but the car was fast. And I would go out, put a lap down, hit those marks that everybody was missing.
That was still like pretty big power then too.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
480,
that was
500.
you were swinging.
Yeah, it was a lot. And yeah, and I would just pick those marks. And then I knew in a chase that like I took risks that other people didn't. And back then it was people weren't good enough to plan to like mess with you.
yeah,
Right? It was always just a physical mistake.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying people do that, but people do that and it sucks. Especially when you're someone who takes risk, right? Because then you get blamed for it. So I would just go out there and watch it and go out and chase, and hey, just got to be a car behind the guy, attack in spots where everybody's nailing it.
yeah.
And then, you know, in my lead run, hit the marks that no one's hitting, and we're just going to win. So like 1 lap of practice, 1 lap of qualifying, got a 90 something, park it, chill, do all my own spotting, go out. Jared, to this day, Deanda is always like, you were such a cocky dickhead back then, blah, blah. Just like, I'm like, no, dude, like, that's how it worked.
Yeah.
Like, I had a system and I stuck to it. And, like, sure, I would love to drive more,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't in the cards at that moment. But, yeah.
Boy, hated that. Right, you know who I'm talking about.
What?
DVDB, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, mad.
He was mad.
He was always
Oh,
mad.
He was an old, grumpy man. He wasn't even old, but
He was
that's what
always
he
nice
was.
to me.
He's nice. I'm
Yeah.
not hating.
I'm
But
not either.
totaled-
I'm not either. I'm just saying it was great because you
He
two
totaled
were-
my S13 at VIR, then yelled at me about it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Well, so he was so mad because he took it
very serious.
so
Yeah.
serious. And I think there's a lot of this because I don't really take that much like that serious. Like I'm analytical. I'm a
Unless it's a Dodge with those toolboxes on the side,
Oh,
because man,
Forget
woof.
about it, bro.
Yep.
stupid Ram boxes. What a waste of space. What a waste. Make them fuel tanks or something. Do like saddlebags on a truck, on a car, dude, or on a whatever bike. Whatever.
Damn, you can't even think right now.
Anyways, that's my brain all the
Yep.
time. No, but like
Okay.
he took it so serious, and back then I was serious about it. But like I was hanging out with my friends, we were partying, we were having a good time.
Yeah.
Like it was more about like, dude, we win this, we're I have enough money. We can do some partying.
We're going
and
to
have some
Sizzler.
fun." Yeah, we're going to Sizzler, dude. Not to be confused with Indian Sizzler. Much different.
I think that's a one-off.
Yeah, it's a one-off. So good though.
Titusville thing.
It's like the best Indian food I've ever had in my life, and I've been all over the world. Like, it's unbelievable.
Have you been to India?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Well, you haven't gone to the source yet.
You're right. Got to do that. Anyways, so he was getting he would be so pumped, so like in the zone. The car is like, he had like a $200,000 car build back in like
Thing was
2010.
sick.
It was
Yeah, it was.
sick.
That thing was
New Edge,
gnarly.
crazy rear mount V8 thing, and like,
Well, the V8 was up front.
rear mount turbo V8. Anyways, and like I remember being like, your crazy car on like Falcons and all this stuff. Like, he had a Falcon deal and like all this stuff. And I like my car on like these, whatever they were,
Mucho Machos,
N3000
dude.
things. I could just blast his door at any moment. And we were in Texas one year, and it was like for the finals. If I beat him, I won the championship. And we're like 100 feet from the finish line. And I'm just like, just right into his door, just pop, 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 push him across the thing. He's like, that was so unnecessary. I'm like, that's drifting. Get over it. He was so mad. And we had never really had an altercation before that. And I was just like, basically like, to you, you know, like, this is drifting. Why do you have carbon fiber doors? Take the stock ones and cut them. It's the same weight. They're like $8 at the junkyard.
Sick though, bro.
It was sick though. It was a real race car. That's the thing.
Yep. All the
His
piping
seating
inside.
position.
Yes, I was gonna say
was
is how
so far
dude,
back.
wild. In a new Edge, he set over the back tires.
It was crazy.
wild. Had the steering shaft. It was
Yep.
like the
10
longest thing I've
feet
ever
long,
seen.
dude.
I
It's a
just remember
drive
the intercooler
shaft.
piping. Yeah.
Oh yeah, through the car.
Yeah.
The charge pipes.
Yep.
He'd blow. Cool
Well,
it
it was
off.
probably actually the intake for the rear mount. Rear mount.
No, he had a filter right on like the turbo.
Yeah.
It was a charge pipe.
It was a rear mount joke.
But anyways, yeah, cool times.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
The day.
Back in the day, push your door in. Finished my last lap at FD pushing somebody's door in. Wasn't gonna let that go.
I did do that.
I was down 500 horsepower and I cut the whole track to do it, but I was not gonna let my last lap in FD not be pushing someone's door in.
I can't believe you. And I know it wasn't great, but you drifted the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lead run, just use the momentum, go in way too fast
Yeah.
because you know you're gonna run out of power. Corolla style, dude.
Like not even in a scary way, but just the fact that you somehow with that car that hooked up managed to drift the bank.
I was like going down the run up and I was like, I'm going to try to light fourth off. And if it doesn't light off, I'm going to downshift clutch kick to light it off into the bank. Like that. I know it's terrifying, right? But I know like in third, it'll light. It might only light a little bit, but it'll light. So I'm coming down and I'm in fourth and I'm like going to do the flick. I'm bang, 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 bang. Trying to get my car to like come off the ground on the clutch kick so that it will light off the tires, and it does it. And I'm like, just no lift, no nothing into the bank, and I'm just going, and I'm like, the minute the RPM drops below 7,500, I'm flat shifting this thing into third. In the middle of the bank, I'm like, bang, rah, screaming again, and I'm like, just doing my best to stay up as long as I can. And I transition, and we couldn't change the car at all.
Yeah.
We've got 1 pound of tire pressure in the back right.
I saw
That was the
whoever-
only change. And and we put some rebound in the car to try to lock the
Yeah.
shocks down some, thank God. And I went to flick back to the right to go across interclip 1, and it was like, nah. It was like, it was gonna lock up, and I felt it like stop. And I'm like, the only thing you could do at that point is I just reached for the handbrake. And like, you don't want to pull the handbrake there, especially when dude's diving in behind you. And like, he ended up hitting me. So I know I was going to be at fault for that. But I was able to finish the lap decent. Full throttle. Left foot brake to not hit the inner clip because I didn't want to bog the car at all by breathing.
Yeah.
So I just stayed on it and just like did my best. And then on the chase run, I was smoked. I came in and I didn't give him enough room to do my momentum move.
Yeah. So, is there a rule that you can't start as far back as you want
I
to?
didn't think there was a rule, but it has been written in the rule book that it's a
Prior to
it's a
this or
grace
since?
thing of like a fender and a door. So I did not know this until Pat told me afterwards, who runs Grid, and I'm like, I don't know, I was probably like 50 feet back.
It was comical how far back you were.
And they're like, come on. And I'm like, and then I stop. And then he's like, you got it. Come on. And I'm like, no, no, you're out.
Happening.
I'm like, he's like, come on. So I do another one. And I do another one. And then I'm like out the window. Because I know Pat's like, come on, move forward, move forward. I'm like, there's no rule at the moment, I thought.
Yeah.
I should look at the rule book. Not that I care, but anyway, so then I'm like, cool, I can do this. Like, so I'll end up at the same speed as him.
Yeah.
And I did. Like, it worked really good. The problem was I was a little too close and I ran out of steam. Like, I needed to use the brake to not gain on him. And as soon as I touched the brake, it was like, brrr, done.
Yeah.
And then it was like, just don't mess up. And I'm like, well, it's over. This is your last lap in FD. So I blasted the inner clip to cut the track as much as possible. Almost clipped him on the flick back the other way because I wasn't where I was supposed to be. And I just stuck it into the side of him and just, and I was like reducing angle out of the car to be able to keep pushing him. And afterwards, I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. If I need to buy you a door, I'll buy you a door. But I wasn't going to finish my last lap not pushing your door.
Had to do it.
Had to do it.